Hi there, Stampers. It's Lisa with Queen Bee Creations. Pardon my voice. I've got a little bit of a cold, and hopefully I won't go into a coughing fit in the middle of this. But I am excited to not only share with you this little book binding pop-out card that we've done before, but I recently came across one very similar where it opens up like that, but then it pops out a different way. So we're actually going to do both because they're quick and easy, and I'm excited to show you. So let's move down to my desk. Okay, so as I said, this is the pop out we've done before. I looked it up and it's been at least a year since I've done it. So you may or may not remember it, but that pop out explosion, that direction we've done. And then this one, I believe it was Connie Stewart I saw that did it. But I just took a screenshot and thought that's easy enough. We can do that, right? So for both of them, they're going to start out the same, in that we need a card base that is 11 inches by 4 1/4, and then it's going to be scored at 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. Okay, and then I needed some designer series paper, and so I'm using up my these are the Color Families designer series papers, so you get these patterns in every color of the color family. So this was one set of in colors. This was another set of in colors. We also have the neutrals, the brights, you get the idea. But it would be all 4 patterns in all of the colors. So it's a great way to do monochromatic, which is what we're working on today. Okay, for the outside, because the base is 4 1/4, we're going to cut this down to 4. And then we have the 4-inch square on the other side. So it's going to be 4 by 4. And then we have a 1 inch over the middle. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other one while I have my trimmer out. So we're doing Cloud Cover, and this is Timid Tiger. Remember, we have a new catalog coming out soon, and it's going to be the new, I guess, catalog approach, in that they're all going to kind of be mini catalogs. They'll be a little bigger than the mini, but a little smaller than the annual catalog. And each catalog will last for 4 months. So the catalog we have coming out next will go May through August. And then we will have one September through December, and then January through April. And then that's how they plan to go forward with that. And each time we get an annual catalog, so I'm guessing now we'll get it in the May catalog, we get a new set of in colors. And so the set that's going out is the Petunia Pop, Pretty in Pink, Shy Shamrock, Summer Splash, that grouping. Oh, the Peach Pie, that was the other one, and Pretty in Pink. So if you really love these colors, now's the time to go out and grab them, because they're going to start disappearing from our store, because everything in those colors will go away. So if you need re-inkers, if you need a new ink pad that you didn't get yet, cardstock, any of those things, go out and grab them before those disappear, because it will disappear before May 1st. I'm sure they're going to be gone long before the catalog comes out. Okay, so I'm just adhering this to the front, and you remembered my saying we scored this at 4 1/4 and then 5 1/2. So this makes a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 panel, and this is a 1 1/4 by 4. So this is a 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. So this is 1 by 4. Excuse me. Okay, so that's just going to go on the front. And then I wanted to tie a bow around here, but I have always found the best way to put a bow there is to wrap it around and have it secured on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and do that ahead of time. So I'm going to take my ribbon and just make a bow. And while I'm using the bow maker tool, you may want to just do it freehand, or like I said, you can pick these up in my store. And I'm pulling them straight across because that's the way I want my tails to go. And we're going to snip this off. And I won't need to melt the ends because they're going to be buried on the inside. We won't see them anyway. But I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on either side. You could also use a glue dot. Glue dots are great for holding ribbon in place. I'm just going to wrap this around either way. Okay, and then I'm going to secure this with Terran tape because it's going to get some action. And anytime a card of mine gets action, I like to use Terran tape because it's nice and strong. So I'm not only going to put it on the two edges, but I'm going to run a little bit here in the middle, just as an extra added bit of security for the ends of that ribbon. Oh, come on. There we go. And then we're just going to seal that together. So that's our book binding card. We've done these quite a bit. The difference we're doing today is the explosion we're adding to the inside. Okay, for that, what I want to do is I want to take a 6x6 piece of paper, and then I'm going to fold it in half, making sure that I'm flush on the ends. And then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to fold it the same way. You know, squared up, but in the opposite direction. So now I've kind of made a plus across the middle of it. Then I want one of them to go diagonal. So I'm going to go point to point on this one, but only one way. Okay. But that one that went diagonal, that's going to be my inside. So again, it's kind of a squash book. I think we recently did something similar in that we had those things that went in. So this is our squash book for the inside of card number 1. And you could choose to line the inside. I didn't. We're going to line the inside of these squares instead. But I want it in there on point. So again, using a little more adhesive than normal. I'm going to make sure my opening is with the opening of the card. And then I'm centering. Okay, now I just want to put some adhesive on this side, and then I'm going to close the card and press to have that pick up. Okay, so there's our inside. Now, because this was a 6x6 piece of paper, these squares are 3x3. So I have 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then I have 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. Those will mount over the top. I used the Spotlight on Nature circles. I absolutely love these. And we're going to use this as our focal point on the front of card number 1. So I have that in cloud cover. And then I also have a circle in white. There we go. And then from the piece where I trimmed off for the front, I'm going to take that piece, and this is what I'm going to use to die cut my onesie. And you can either choose to stamp it first and then die cut it, or you can just die cut it. Both ways work. Because we're doing the 2 cards, and I have the 2 pieces of designer series paper, I'm actually going to lay them both in the trimmer or the cut and emboss at the same time. And the one die is going to go through both layers because the dies are strong enough that they're going to fit through that easily. Because designer series paper is so much thinner than our cardstocks. Okay, and then for the pocket and the rattle and all of that, I'm going to use these other little dies out of the Cutest Onesie. And then I have a piece of, this is cloud cover, because this is the card we're working on here. And it has adhesive sheet on the back. So I'll be able to load those all on there, die cut them out, and then they're going to be stickers. I love that when these pieces are really little like this. And again, I'm going to grab the Take Your Pick tool, useful for all sorts of things. One of the many things I do with it is use it to poke through the ejection holes and get the cardstock out of my dies. And peel off the backing and expose the adhesive. Use it as a handle to transfer it to my project. Excuse me. Okay, so this is going to go on this circle on the front. So we'll go ahead and lay this one down flat, just using seal adhesive. Then this one I'm going to put down on dimensionals. When I put a card together, I usually only do 1 layer of dimensionals. I know it can look really cool to add more to it, but you would need to make sure you're hand delivering or willing to pay extra postage, because the Postal Service does charge extra postage if the card is thicker than a certain thickness. We used to be able to take our old trimmer. I haven't tried it with the new one, but with the old trimmer, if you could take your card and you could fit it through the opening of the slot, then it would go through the Postal Service on 1 stamp. If it got stuck, that means you needed an extra stamp. So it's not very thick that they'll allow you to use. So 1 layer of dimensionals. Excuse me. Okay. So on the inside, I'm just going to go ahead and lay down my cloud cover pieces. And we are almost done, and we will move on to that second card. So hang out. I do have another way of doing this. Today you're kind of getting a twofer. They're very similar, but the other one is done differently. Okay, this I'm going to go ahead and stick direct. The other one I want to stamp on, so I'm going to stamp before adhering. In case there's a boo-boo, we can flip it over and stamp on the other side. And hopefully you've all gotten my newsletter recently, and it had the PDF of the March online exclusives. It's now made by Stampin' Up, which is nice because when Stampin' Up makes the PDF, it looks very similar to the catalog pages. So if you wanted to print it off of your printer at home, it is going to look very similar to what you're used to of the catalog. But all of those are available for purchase now. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I think I wanted to wait on this one because I'm going to go ahead and put my label down. And for that label, I'm going to use my Heartfelt Hexagon punch, and I'm going to punch it out full size for the mat. But then when I go to do the other one, I'm going to stamp my saying. So on the front, we're doing a big welcome to your new baby. And then on the inside, wishing you lots of joy. So remembering that that square is going to be on point. Tilt my triangle on point. Okay, now I want to bring this in and get kind of as close to the top as I can with my saying. And I'm going to go ahead and punch that out. Now I want a Post-it note to use kind of as a handle. And then I'm going to feed this in again, and I'm going to line up the sides, which are straight. But then I'm going to put the bottom down there. Okay, so is everybody kind of getting an idea? And my sides are straight, matching up with what's already there. And then I'm just cutting off that much. Okay, so that's going to give me a smaller label. So when I go to layer it on this one, now I have that bordered edge. And there are ways that you could do the bordered edge and make the overall label bigger, but because the front of the card was already a little on the smaller side, I didn't really want to do that. And then remember how we have our one layer of dimensionals under here, and I'm going to have this go over the edge. So there's going to already be a dimensional under this, but I don't have one over here because we're coming off of the white for this side. So I want to put a dimensional here, and I want to put seal here so that overall everything will be the same height. I'm even coming in with a mini because I don't know how much room it has down there. And then that baby rattle we can now add on. Okay, so that was card number 1. Card number 2, as I said, is going to be very similar. We're again going to use a basic set of dies, but I'm using the Stylish Shapes this time. So for the outside, I used the 2 largest squares, and then for the inside, I went down one. So this was my colored one, and this was my white one. So I just went down one size for in here, and then these were the ones I used for my label. So I already have those die cut. And we have our base. You know, again, this was the 4 1/4 by 11 scored at 4 1/4, 5 1/2. We have our 4x4 going on the front. And this time we're using Timid Tiger. And our sample that we're working off of is done in Peach Pie. This was 1x4, and then we have our ribbon. So we'll go ahead and tie a bow in that. So all of this is very similar, so I'm kind of moving quickly through it so we can get to the inside because that's the different part. Okay. I would probably usually use seal. Okay, then on the inside I have a 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. For the outside, as I said, I had those die cut pieces. And I want the two that are larger. Oh, okay. What I actually need is one more of this size because they are both the largest die. Because I turned one on point, they are actually the same size. So pardon me for that. I'm sorry. A little too much cold medicine, I think. So that one's going to go down on point. And the other one's going to go on square. And there's no stamping on these pieces, so I can go ahead and put them on. Okay. Okay, then I'm going to stamp on this piece, and I'm going to put this on mini dimensionals. And then we have our rattle and pocket. But for the inside, let's do that. Okay, so we're going to, again, take a 6x6 piece of paper, and then we're going to fold it over and do that plus sign out of the middle. Okay, but what I want to do is I want to take a slit from the bottom and cut up. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and we're going to do a slice up to that middle. Okay. So I just cut straight along my score line. And then I have my 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 pieces. And I'm going to put one over here, and then I'm going to do the other one diagonal from it. And then I have a 2 1/2 by 2 1/2. It's going to be my sentiment for down here. I also want to let you know, I know word has kind of gotten out that there are going to be some price increases with the economy the way it is, and our supply line what it is. Stampin' Up's going to need to raise some of their prices on things. So I will put that in the next newsletter, the things they're talking about, but it's basically ink pads, papers, you know, all the normal things. So you want to stock up on what you need now. So I would stock up on things like adhesive and cardstock and, you know, all of your regulars because they will increase in May. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the center of that. And then we're going to do so it's my job to train you on making the cards, but also help supply you with what you need. And I don't want you paying more than you need to. So if you have the ability to stock up before prices are raised, I would suggest it. Okay, so there is that different pop-up to the inside using the same 6x6 idea. But folding up differently. So there was that one, and then there was this one. So I will finish up those cards when I get off camera, but I feel like I'm going to lose my voice. Excuse me. I still have a week and where you can register for the online class for the Easter basket cards. And I tried to make some of them Easter and some of them just Happy Spring. And you could use a stamp set you have and use, you know, New Baby or Happy Birthday. There's definitely lots of different things that you could do with these folds. But the idea is that I will have a PDF tutorial and a video on how to do all of these cards. And you have the option of buying the kit where I would pre-cut all the materials for you, which is always a plus. And that is on my website under online classes. So hopefully you can join me with that one. It's going to go out soon. As soon as I can film. When I can do the videos, I will get it sent out. The people who pre-registered when I sent it out in the newsletter, I've actually already ordered product and it's already shipped from Stampin' Up. So I'm going to try to get those out earlier than the, March 28th or whatever, because I want you to have them in plenty of time for Easter. So that's all I have for today. Those were our new baby cards. And as I said, you can switch it up. You can make them thank you cards, birthday, anniversary, whatever. But those were the book fold pop-out cards for today's tutorial. So thank you so much, and I will see you on Thursday for another live. Thanks so much. Bye.